All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Jake Thomas, welcoming you to another episode of Sick, Scared, and Stupid. And today, bringing you a really cool guest and a guy that just keeps looking younger and younger every time I see him. He's trying to die slower by the day. He's the former founder and 10-year owner of Iconic Protein, a good friend from the great state of Louisiana, a tiger, purple and gold guy, someone that's just in the longevity space now. Like I said, trying to die slower. He's experimenting a lot with foods, with exercise, with biohacking, with recovery techniques, with mental wellness, and just overall finding the right and most perfect forms of vitality and good feeling to extend lifespan. Mr. Billy Bosch, by way of Miami.
Woo! What's up, my man? How we doing?
Good, dude. I just said off camera, you look freaking super young right now. What's going on? What are you drinking? Vampire blood at Miami Beach or what?
Oh, I got a blood boy in the other room over here, just transfusing my young blood on a daily basis.
It looks
No,
like it, dude.
fun story. I actually did that in Austin a couple years ago. I did a young plasma injection for injury in my shoulder where they take a 20-year-old, paid for donated plasma that's been tested, whatever. It's on the up and up, right? But the idea is that the younger the plasma, the richer it is in stem cells, and they
Oh
inject
boy.
that for repairs. For this, it didn't actually help me for a torn labrum. What wound up helping was some peptides that I took that completely resolved the issue. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, man, just I'm like you. It's just like figuring out like what type of hacks you can, come up with on the health front to age at a slower pace. And it's less about ego thing for me. It's more about like being able to spend more time with people I care about, being able to create more positive impact in the world, and just enjoy this beautiful life we have. But do it feeling much younger, right?
Yeah, man. I've seen lately you've been in Hong Kong, Portugal, Colombia, um, LA, Texas. Like you've been traveling a lot, obviously. I mean, Miami's a great place. Like people go there to feel
Yeah.
younger. People go there to look younger. People move there for their reasons to retire and whatnot to try to stay young.
Hmm.
What's been taking you around the globe? I know you kind of said like, hey, it's not just doing these things for ego, but I'm kind of doing it while I'm hanging out with people that I know, friends, seeing families, organizations I belong to, et cetera. What kind of put you on that, or when did you see the hey, this is a way for me to kind of do what my little mission is here on the side, while at the same time I'm socializing and keeping up with professional groups, friend groups, et cetera.
Yeah, I guess I would start with when I had a job in corporate America a long, long time ago. And I said, oh man, wouldn't it be great to be, traveling around the world and seeing all these countries? And we, one of these jobs where you get 2 weeks of vacation. And I said, man, if I'm ever my own boss, I'll be able to work from anywhere in the world. And so once I became my own boss with Iconic, ironically, I got an office with some cubicles and started getting employees and kind of chained myself to a location, starting in New Orleans. And then I thought, like, really, with the pandemic, it was like that was a wake up call for me to like start traveling more. And because I wanted to get out of the US anyway, based on all the rules and all this kind of stuff. So I went to Croatia for a month, and also ironically got COVID when I went to Croatia. Right away. Luckily, it wasn't bad. And anyway, I was fine. But what I realized is like I really enjoy traveling. And if I'm in a city for at least a week, I can typically get in a nice flow state routine where I'm hitting a gym. I've got some clean, I've got a kitchen where I can do some cooking, or I can find the healthy restaurants. When you're changing cities every few days when you're traveling, your sleep schedule is super disrupted. So if I go to Europe, I want to go for a month. And
Mm.
people may say, oh, it must be nice to take a month of vacation. I'm not taking vacation. I don't want to take vacation. I love what I do. So I go there and I work. And I'm not working 12-hour days, but I am working. And so that's part of it's this sense of adventure, of seeing new places, trying, new cuisine, exploring new cultures, but also understanding, getting outside of the box of the US and limited beliefs around health and wellness and healthy aging and things like this, to figure out like what's the rest of the world doing, what's happening in Asia, what's happening in Europe, like what are people doing. When I had this really popular video on gluten
Mm.
that I posted on Instagram, that was really controversial for some people, because people in the US, they think, oh, well, like if I can't have gluten, I can't have gluten. But I go to Europe and I'm gluten intolerant, and I go to Europe and I'm fine. Okay. And people find that hard to believe, that the food can be so much cleaner there,
Mm.
but you don't know unless you go and check it out for yourself.
Yeah, would you got what, like 10 million views on that thing or something?
Yeah, almost 8 million, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
On like I mean, it's a cool video. Don't get me wrong. It's a super cool video, but when I saw that explode the way it did, I was like, really?
I know. I
Like
said the same
honestly, I
thing.
was like, really? I was
I
like,
would.
it's cool and informative, and it's vulnerable. You know, it's exposing vulnerability. Obviously, you're talking about celiac and gluten sensitivity and stuff that's like, it's, yeah, a lot of people relate to it, especially in the States.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, seeing that, I was like, damn, of because you put out some really cool stuff, and I was like, of all the things, I was like, that one, I was like, okay.
Man, I was just as shocked as you, because I did totally unscripted, just me, because when I went to, part of this was I took some time after Iconic to just like decompress. It was a 10-year sprint with that business, and I was really, running at full steam, and I needed some time. I just needed some, like almost like a mini sabbatical. But I said, let me do something. So I said, what, let me just post on social media once a day and just share anything that I learn, because I think like sharing what you learn is important. Like that's a great usage of what we have for social media as a tool and resource. And you do a lot of that, which is great. So I said, okay, let me just do this. And one of these videos of me eating a croissant at breakfast just happened to pop off.
Yeah.
So you never know what's going to take off, but it is interesting exploring the cuisines of these other countries and seeing people eat, croissants and pasta and pizza and not being fat. Everybody's for the most part pretty thin. And you're like, what's going on here, right?
I mean, I believe the city of Bologna, Italy, has the highest red meat and pasta per capita consumption of any city globally, but does not have the same prevalence of coronary artery disease or any other dietarily related illness as would be in other places, particularly the United States. And people are like, well, I don't understand. I was like, well, because that meat is not our meat. That pasta is not our pasta. You know, that pasta is farmed, grown. That wheat that creates that pasta is farmed and grown to just make that. It's made to have a very short shelf life. It's made to be fresh, and it's made to die as it should naturally.
Yeah,
It's
and they
not made to
spend a few days
withstand.
making it. That's a whole slow process, this slow making of things, and the slow eating, and the eating with community, right? And like there's a lot more thoughtful preparation. If you go to Colombia or even Europe, and you say, are these cows grass fed? They look at you funny, like, what else would we feed them? Oh, corn and soy. Why would
Mm,
you feed the cow corn and soy?
mm.
Well, because it's cheaper. And they're just like, what? Like,
This is a stupid conversation.
it really is. How much do you save? We save, 10 cents per day or something. Like, come on, man.
Right. I remember when first like being aware of the word organic in like grocery labeling, and just seeing the stickers everywhere, and whether, obviously it's preceding our age, but I feel like it wasn't nearly as prevalent or domineering in, marketing. But going and traveling other places and asking, is this organic? And they're like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
how is it not? Like, it's an apple. Like,
Yeah.
why would this not be
And they
organic?
just do
And
the reverse.
right.
They
And
just label
explain.
things that are not organic, which makes total sense.
And it's a
Like, why?
much smaller list.
Yeah. If we did that, like everything in the store would be labeled with a big alert. Like, this is not organic. It has glyphosate and Roundup that's known to cause cancer all over it. Would
Right.
you still like to buy X product?
We've got heavy metals over here. We've
Yeah.
got microplastic over here. We've got mold toxins over here. Uh, like you said, glyphosate sprayed, Roundup and otherwise. And what's the other one? A friend of mine just messaged me about earlier today. Don't forget.
There's so
Oh,
many.
histamine. These are
Oh
our
gosh.
histamine rich foods. Like that. There's a reason the little organic section is like this tiny little sliver in the aisles, of
We
produce.
If it wouldn't be so time consuming and so much work, we should totally just like create Billy and Jake's grocery store, but like make fun of all the other stores because we'll still carry all those things. We'll just put our own labels on all of them. Like, hi, try these Cheez-Its. They're high in glyphosate and medium on heavy metals. Like, like moderate risk of cancer in the
Just
next 5 years.
I like it. Just relabel everything. That'll be a lot of labels.
I know, man.
We
I
should go
know.
long in whoever the label company is first beforehand because we're going to be giving them a ton of money.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get them to
Uh,
sponsor it. Yeah.
so recent travels, like you're saying, Hong Kong, Portugal, Italy,
Hmm.
Colombia, throughout the U.S. What's the consensus? What's the common theme? What have you seen good? What have you seen not so great? Like what do people look like? What are they eating? What do they seem to be, putting off?
Yeah, what I notice in Asia, I went to Hong Kong, but also Shenzhen and a couple other cities in China, and I'd never been to China before. And I'm a kind of, I would say, your average American mindset on that, which is like maybe not really wanting to go to China. But I had an event over there, and I said, you know what? Let me just like not go with the stereotype and see what it's all about. So I'll start with the experience in Asia and specifically Hong Kong. It's like a big city. It's kind of like a New York feel, New York mixed with London. So a lot of walking, a lot of walkers. So I think the walking helps with a lot of people. The food is definitely westernized with
Mm,
like a heavy Asian twist. But I would say like China was much more like exotic Asian food for us, right? So I went to one restaurant when this is a typical place for lunch, like tons of people in there. It's a hot pot place. It's for the listeners, it's like kind of like a Korean barbecue where you like cook your own food and the thing, but they just bring you tons of meats and different sauces and spices and a few vegetables, just to kind of mix things up. But they had like 20 or 30 cuts of beef in there,
mm.
which was really cool. You've
Yeah.
got like tongue and face and
Oh,
just
nice.
raw collagen and all this kind of stuff.
Nice,
So what
nice.
I noticed there is and everybody that you didn't see a lot of fat people in China either. I don't think I saw one, honestly. And I was there for a week. And I say fat, like let's say, they've got a, 5'5" frame and weigh 200 pounds or something, which is pretty common in the US.
Yeah.
And so they're eating all the parts of the animal. They're, for sure doing some community dining. They've got a lot of, some other things in the diet, like, different types of vegetables and stuff like this, but it's not a typical westernized diet that's heavy on fried food and processed food. Like you can totally find some of that in the convenience stores, but it's for sure less prevalent. It's more of like farmers market style of markets that people are used to. So that was like a big eye opener in Asia, and also like, dude, they can throw down some spice. I mean, we're from
Yeah.
Louisiana, and they're
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Do you like spice?" I'm like, "Yeah." It was pretty next level. So, and then if you go to South America, I find it's kind of the opposite. I don't find much spicy food down there. Once you get past Mexico, Mexico loves some spice.
Yeah.
But once you go to Colombia, we used to source our coffee down there for Iconic. So I spent a ton of time down there meeting with the farmers and things like this. And what I noticed is most of Colombia is like rural areas, right? There's some big cities. Out, generally speaking, all the cows are grass fed. They're all roaming out there. All the vegetables and fruits are organic. They've got a lot of tropical stuff. They've got a lot of like kind of jungly type of topography and across the country, and so they have a lot of rich places to grow different crops. But it's funny because you can go to a restaurant, you can order USDA prime beef, and like, oh, you
Interesting.
want the USDA prime beef? No way,
No. Give
man.
me the
I do
local
not
stuff.
want that.
Give me the local stuff.
Yeah, I went to local stuff, and so they have these amazing local cuts. Same thing in Brazil. They've got the picanha, which we
Mm,
tried when we
mm,
had our steak outing here in Miami
hmm.
at Fogo de Chao.
Oh yeah.
But
God,
but
yeah.
love that, right? But there's this myth in South America that like the U.S. is like the healthy place, right? So they want like
Mm,
USDA stuff. They perceive this as like the better, almost like Wagyu is like considered to be a higher end cut, and really they're just poisoning the cow with tons of
right.
grains,
Right.
right? You know this.
Yeah.
So when I go eat with Colombian friends, I said, "No, man, I want your local stuff. I want the grass." And they say, "Oh, okay, okay." So there's the education's not or awareness is not quite there that their food is actually healthier. But I have friends that live down there that were on a Western diet, like one buddy from Australia, and his testosterone went up over 1,000 just by living in Colombia for a year. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Just like no supplements, no anything. Just like Colombian diet of like plenty of clean, lean red meats, some healthy fats, things like avocados, organic fruits and vegetables, all this kind of stuff. And he's just living his best life at 47.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And have you been down there? Have you been down to South
No,
America
no,
at
no,
all?
I haven't. I haven't. Definitely on the
That's a
board.
whole segment, man. And they love some red meat. You
Yeah.
would just love it down there.
Yeah, lot of friends from Argentina that talk about you got to come down, you got to come down. I'm
Oh,
like,
you might
ah,
not come back.
I know. I think it'll be like like you said, a sabbatical. Maybe for like a summer and bounce around between a few places, kind of thing. Because it seems like it's something you'd want to be there to kind of really get immersed in for a while and enjoy and be able to respond to what's being taken in. What you're going to ingest culturally and physically and everything. Like you said with your friend at
Yeah,
47 to get that. Like yeah, like that sounds like a logical result to me. And yeah, the Colombians, they can grow some pretty good plants too
yeah.
that are organic. Very healthy,
They're known for their agriculture.
very healthy agriculture. Yeah, absolutely. Um, what about any, like things that you saw? I guess it's easy to come after the States. What besides seeing the difference in like the grain fed versus theirs
Mhm.
and the disconnect of awareness and whatnot, what do you see when you come back to the States as like the why do we do it like this when it seems like it works better or differently elsewhere?
Well, another thing that I've noticed that'll answer your question is that for better or worse, the U.S. and they all acknowledge this. Like a lot of people that I met in these different countries want to move to the U.S. They say, "Hey, man, their dream is to move to the U.S., especially if they're an immigrant in another country." For instance,
Mm,
immigrants in Europe experience, from what they tell me, a lot of racism, a lot of limited class access, so they're not really able to go up a level in class. Versus in the U.S., you can come here with no money, bottom of the food chain here, and work your way all the way to the top in one generation.
yep.
Very rarely is that a possibility in any country. So for better or worse, like the US is the extreme version of capitalism. And I'm a capitalist, right? But not capitalism at all costs. And what I've noticed in these travels, whether it's Europe or South America or Asia or wherever, there's a lot more of a focus on not only like enjoying life, but also making money. People still have their businesses, right? People still do things, but when they're eating in a community. Like when I went to lunch in China, we had like a business lunch, but all the employees of this business I was meeting with, they're all having lunch together as well, right? And they get a lunch break. And dude, they're crushing 10, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
You understand why they're pulling ahead when their TikTok is limited and what they're seeing is more educational. We're seeing a bunch of stupid videos and we're like, oh man, I'm so tired. I feel like I should like not have to work 6 or 7 hours, and they're cranking out 10, 12 hour days, right?
Yeah.
Like, bro, they're gonna lap us because they want it more. It's just like a team that has less talent beats some all-star team. You're like, how did it happen? They wanted it more, man.
Yeah.
Like people don't want it in the US. Anyway, back I digress. Back to the food thing. When we got to lunch, we had a nice like 2 hour lunch outing, right? And this is, from what I understand, pretty common for them. And the employees, they get like a nap break, they get like a play break where they're playing ping pong and badminton and stuff. They have like in office like little mini cafeteria, and it's not like Google. Okay, this is like
I
some
was
woman
literally
cooking
just
it.
about to say, it sounds like the Google campus.
No, it's like a guy or a woman cooking in the kitchen and just like one person operation whipping up some food for them. But still, like they want to make sure their employees are fed. And yeah, they're not going to have as much downtime if that happens. But I noticed they get more breaks and there's a lot more socialization. And the same thing in Colombia, dude. You're not getting out of a Colombian dinner in less than 3 hours. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
And the typical American mindset is you're like, dude, got to go check, please. We got to go. We got to go here, meet these
Yeah.
people. Got to do
Yeah.
this. There's a lot of FOMO culture going on. Worried about total opposite. Europe, South America, these places, they want to relax. They want to get to know you. They want to take time to chew and chewing food like a cow, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like taking time to eat the food. And I think that goes a long way with mindset and this like ultra anxious, stressed culture that we live in, right?
Yeah. I was watching a thing the other day with Shia LaBeouf talking on a show, his like rehab stints, and he's up in Utah for like months. And one of the first things in a lot of places when you go to check in somewhere, the first thing they do is take your phone away. They take your cell phone away.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't communicate, you can't try to score shit from the outside,
Oh
get
yeah,
brought to
yeah,
you,
makes
plan your
sense.
escape route, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he's like, man, I couldn't believe how much that alone changed me, because it forces you to go inside, right? It forces you to do introspective work because you don't have anything else. You don't have the opportunity of abundance, just mindlessness and
Yeah.
scrolling and just kill time with. It's like you. And he talked about every X amount of thoughts. He's like, every it started as like every 25th or every 50th thought I had like a good thing, but I had to get through like 25 or 30 or 49 shitty ones before I got to this like moment of enlightenment. But he's like, the longer I did this, the more I abstained from this tech and this world, this digital world, hyper stimulated digital world, the less time there was between these good thoughts, to where it was like one every 30 or one every 50. It became one every 20, one every 10, one every 5, to when it was just like, man, this is where I stay now. This is my steady state, where I'm thinking, how I want to feel. But yeah, we're pretty deep in it. I used to think about that living in New York. It's like, it's so paradoxical thinking, how are you supposed to self-discover anything or do any type of like deep introspective grounding work in New York City? It's a freaking challenge, man, for sure.
Yeah.
And you and I connected on that in Miami because it was like this respite that we found to be able to do that. Like, oh my God, we can put our feet in the beach and or in the
Mm-hmm.
sand and like get in the water, and it's this, like jungles and sunshine. It's like, oh, this is so rewarding to the body and the mind. Like, who would have thought? And it's like, well, yeah, you dummies. Like, this is what we all do everywhere else in the world. And for us to think that we have to like go to Bali and drink this in the jungle and figure
Mm-hmm.
this thing out and go on this retreat or mastermind, it's like, it's a lot simpler than what we think. And I think to connect the dots on what you're saying is like observing these different people in different cultures. It's not like they're doing anything really external or extraneous. They're
Right.
just living life.
Yeah, they're living life in a different way, right? And they're it like you said, it's being offline more, because guess what? When they're done working, they're done working for the day. Like they whether in Europe or South America, whatever, they're not sending emails at dinner like, oh man, yeah, yeah, cool, 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 yeah, yeah, good, oh yeah,
Mm.
hey, hold on, let me send this last email. Like, no, dude, they're they're done with it. And guess what? Like maybe that results in a little bit less productivity, but they're going to live longer, happier. And I think you actually get more productivity because if you're living a longer life and healthier life because you're living younger longer, then you can do more work. How
There
about
you
that?
go.
So you're actually more productive if you're doing less work on a daily basis, as long as that work is concentrated. And that's another thing. I don't know about you, but I work in Pomodoros. I got up my little notebook here, and basically I scribble in 30-minute increments. My phone's on airplane mode or do not disturb. It's away from me.
Mm.
And I play some music. I got a service called Brain FM that I love. And I just play this music and I get in flow state and I just crush through work. Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. And I notice when I travel, that's when I get my best ideas too. And I get just this like zoomed out picture of the world. And for me, it's like I'm just working remotely essentially, but I
Mm.
structured my life. This is a life by design that I know I'm lucky to have and lucky to have created, but that I can live and work in different places and also be very effective.
Yeah. I do a similar thing with music in the background, but instead of music, I listen to air traffic control
Come
channels.
on.
Yeah, I swear. Like especially like the approach control center at Narita in
Uh huh.
Tokyo. It's amazing. It's so pleasant. I swear, man. It's like it's a flying thing. Like I never did this like a year ago, but
What's
so
pleasant
that's
about it? What do you like about it?
it's just. I mean, O'Hare on a very busy day is probably not the best one to listen to, but
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, it's just like this steady. Like United 757 heavy, turn left, make 450. It's just this very simple bits of language and verbiage coming across, and everybody for the most part is calm. Like you hear someone panicking, it's usually not, it's a rare occurrence. So most people are just like, yeah, roger that, United 7545, blah, 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 step down 230, and the next one comes on, the next one comes on. But when you hear people from different countries saying it, and especially it's English in all
Mm-hmm.
channels, the Japanese especially can have a real eloquence and softness to their voice. There's a different sense of purpose about it and beauty. And like just to hear it, it's really cool, man. It's melodic to listen
Wow.
to. So like, yeah, I would have never thought that until, somebody put me on it. But like, yeah, that's what I listen to in the background is my like good stuff, my white noise.
And is that just a website you can go to, or how
Yeah,
do you
just
listen to
look
that?
up a live ATC. Yeah, live
Okay.
ATC. It's
Okay.
cool. And New Orleans is funny too because you can hear the accents,
Right.
which is pretty neat. But man, so 10 years with Iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, give us a what you knew on the front end or what you thought you knew.
Mm-hmm.
A couple bullets, and what you finished with on the back end, and how any of that might have changed.
Well,
Perception, opinion, industry. Just notes.
yeah, I mean, I came in so green. A lot of people that are watching or listening may think like, "Hey, man, I can't imagine starting a business," or maybe I thought everybody's got a business idea that maybe they just haven't pulled the trigger on. And for me, that was a protein drink, and it sounds very simple, but the idea was I couldn't find a protein drink that had no sugar and didn't have any artificial ingredients, right? So we were the first to come up with a zero sugar, totally natural ingredient, grass fed protein, beverage. And I walked into this thinking if I make a cool product, people will buy it. And like, that's just how business works. And it's funny, like I had one guy in New Orleans who had like a big, cleaning empire of like custodial type of business, where they're cleaning office spaces and stuff like this. And he was like maybe gonna put some money in and invest. And he was like, "You're telling me a lot of things, but in my business, we only care about one thing at the end of the day." And I was like, "What's that?" He's like, EBITDA, you know, profit.
Did
And
he
I said,
actually say
"Oh,
that? He
okay,
said EBITDA?
interesting,
He said EBITDA?
interesting." What's up?
He said EBITDA?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, this guy went to business school. Cool.
I know, right? Or maybe he just learned it from his accountant. Who knows? But he
Yeah.
knows a financial statement, and I said, okay, okay. Well, this is a little bit different because I've been reading about these beverage companies, and everybody just raises money because 10 years ago it was this big scene of big companies investing in and smart money VCs, PE groups putting money into companies specifically in health and wellness, even more specifically in food and beverage, into this whole renaissance movement. Because remember 10 years ago is when all this stuff started happening, Justin's almond butter and all these other organic brands and natural food companies coming up and growing quickly,
Yeah.
starting in Whole Foods but going into other chains that are
Yeah.
mainstream. Excuse me. And so a lot of people got hyped up on fundraising, including me. And I said, okay, well, to make this thing, I had this preconceived notion that in order to grow a business, you have to raise money. False. In order to be successful in the nutrition space, I felt I had to launch a beverage, which ended up being false. I could have probably started with a powder and maybe done even better or just as well. But I was just like dead set on convenience and people being able to drink this. And, I also thought that retail was the path. I thought like I had a sales background and I said, I just need to go sell this myself door to door and get in all these grocery stores and all these convenience stores, 7-Eleven, all these places. And I did that. I got into Walmart. I got into Whole Foods. I got into Target, like you name it, I got in there. Right.
Yeah.
Sam's Club,
HEB.
all the stuff. HEB, baby. Love HEB. And so that was actually the first chain we got into outside of Louisiana because we were in Rouse's and Robert's Fresh Market. Shout out to those
Robert's
guys
nice.
in Louisiana for giving
Yeah.
us a shot early on.
Lakeview.
Yeah, LV baby. Those were the first stores out of the gate, and
Wow.
then from there I went to Texas and literally drove around in my little Honda Accord and went to all these stores and met with the buyers and managers and stuff and built the brand that way. But in hindsight, what I learned 10 years later was that you can do it in a much smarter way that requires less time, which is getting that product market fit online by testing through paid advertising, whether it's on Facebook or some other platform, by doing, when somebody tells me they want to start a business and they tell me I have to do this and I have to do this, I need this much money. No, man, there's a way to start just about any business where you're profitable from the very first sale. And that's what a real business is. What I was running was a hobby. Okay. A hobby is something you just spend money on, which is what I was doing. And I naively thought that was a business. And so what I learned is that, for future businesses, like for sure you want to provide value, but it needs to be profitable from the start if it's a real business. And there's ways to do that with a minimal amount of investment, personally or from others, which is by testing things online and validating the concept, and just growing the business organically from there with your profits. Yeah.
Oh, that's some serious nuggets.
Yeah. And I also learned, which may be of interest to, everybody listening or watching, is that, with Amazon buying a chain like Whole Foods and other consolidation happening in the food industry, it's actually usually great news for consumers, because people always say, oh, I can't eat healthy because Whole Foods is so expensive. Well, and I know you can still find clean food at conventional stores, whether it's Rouse's or HEB or Publix or wherever else. You just got to know what to buy. You got to educate yourself and spend the time doing it. But outside of that, there's so much margin compression. And what I mean by that is less money for the brand, because the brands that you love to buy, they're having to pay the distributor to get to the store, which I didn't realize. The distributor wants a big chunk of money just to get your product on the shelf. The store wants you to pay money. Okay, so they have what's called slotting. And I'm like, what's slotting? They're like, well, you give us money and then you can be on the shelf. And I said, oh, a bribe. A bribe. Got it. Okay, so we're just code naming bribes. Got it. So should I just like give you a briefcase full of cash? Because that would be cooler. I'll just like,
hey,
there was
this
this Edwin
curb
Edwards
appeal, you're going to pay for it.
Or that Edwin Edwards story where like someone like threw a briefcase of cash in his front yard and like drove away. God. And like that was like on a regular basis, apparently.
Shout out to former Governor Edwards.
Yeah. I think he's out of the pin.
You want good curb appeal, you're going to pay for it, Billy.
I mean, really, but I didn't know that going into it. I said, you're going to charge me? And
was there different charges for the slotting, like for location?
I mean, yeah. So, generally, if like the bigger brand you are,
shelf 3.
Yeah, so sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. It really varies by chain, and it varies based on it. So Coca-Cola is going to pay heavier slotting than somebody else, right?
Yep.
Or they may negotiate and say, hey, we'll pay less slotting, but we'll come reset the store for you, which means, wink, wink, they're going to come organize the products accordingly that benefit them, right? So it's a whole game to be played there. And the bottom line is, as a consumer, like these low prices and sales that you see, the brand pays almost all of that. Okay. Amazon Prime, extra 10% off, whatever, brands paying that. Quarterly discounts, brands paying that. But if you know the retail game, if you learn it as a consumer, which is every brand, typically has to run a deal at least once a quarter, unless it's an everyday pricing type of setup like Walmart, where it's just like always a low price, then you can buy deal to deal and you can save a ton of money on brands you like. The problem is a lot of brands are going to, have struggle, or they're going to struggle to survive and grow in these limited, money-making conditions.
Right. Cause like that's the whole incentive to you, right? As the brand wanting to be hosted by the major, is like, it gives you sales volume, but at the same time, you're essentially paying to play. Right. And that dilutes what you could potentially make in margin. Yeah. So you got to sell a hell of a lot more to make what you would have made, but you'd have to be working and hustling a lot more to try to get that kind of scale out of it.
You got it.
It's a tough play. Yeah. Like, I mean, getting into Walmart, you got to sell a hell of a lot of bottles to turn profit, right?
And here's the thing. You have to keep selling a lot of bottles just to stay on the shelf, which means you spend even more money on marketing and driving traffic to the store and getting people to buy it. And then if you don't sell it, then they're going to charge you back for all the product they bought, right? Ooh. So they're going to rebill you for all this stuff.
God, they're good.
It's a tough game out there, man. It's brutal. So I've become much more of an e-commerce guy as an entrepreneur. Like I look at retail as like a down the road strategy. And when I coach and some business owners, I'll say, hey, listen, like focus on your online business. And once that's over 10 million, then we can take a look at retail, because it's just like, you're not going to make money there, So you want to have negotiating power down the
like the
road.
fatal kiss of death. Like, I want to get into the clothing business because my affluence and social presence and footprint is big enough. Ah, it's not. I don't think so, Jake. Like, we're not quite there yet. We don't need to,
Yeah, I
run a
mean, when
clothing
people
line.
have an idea, it's like that's great, but like always think, is this a business or is it a hobby? Like a
Mm,
business needs to make money, and money is profit, not revenue. As if there's a saying that revenue is vanity and profit is sanity, and
mm.
that's like one that I've grown to love. But I think, because everybody has that idea, right? So really think about this. If you want to start an idea, how can you do it online and really test that and see if it's what people are going to want to be buying in like 5, 10 years from now? And then maybe you have an opportunity.
Business or hobby? Love that.
Yeah.
So, 10 years of being in that, neck deep, like you said, at full sprint. What have you seen in forms of competition as far as in changes in the market? Like, what, without naming them, like what you were up against, what seemed to be the trends, what consumer appeal, how did consumer appeal change, what preferences may have changed, what fads came and went,
Oh,
what
yeah.
kind of ingredients, siphoning or dilutions did you see, or people trying to cut corners, shit like that. Because obviously
Yeah.
you
So,
guys were
so
all about
for,
trying to maintain high quality
Yeah,
ingredients.
first of all, yeah, I did a lot of testing because again, being naive, I said whatever's on my nutrition fact panel should be accurate. If it says 20 grams of protein, it should have 20 grams of protein. If it has 3 grams of sugar, it should say that, whatever it is should be listed on there.
Yeah.
And so what I learned is very few products are actually factual. Okay. They're just sometimes they're guessing, sometimes they tested it once. I would say, if I had a guess, this is my own personal opinion, 60 to 70% of the nutrition fact panels are inaccurate in some way. Okay. And look, there's a lot of litigation out there. A lot of these, I think they're scum of the earth attorneys that do this type of practice, but they're out trying to like do some kind of class action bullshit because it's got, 3.5 grams of fiber instead of 4. Okay, cut the guy some slack, right? And there is some
Mm.
wiggle room you get on the label. I can't remember if it's a 10 or 20% variance you get, but you get a little wiggle room just because it's food and it's recipes, right? But I think a lot of these brands don't do the level of testing that they should, which is like testing, let's say like every, quarter at minimum, something like this,
Yeah.
maybe even more frequently. So that's one thing I learned. Another thing that I noticed was over the course of a decade, it went from a more conventional line of thinking, of like, okay, I'll have like, just a conventional American diet, we'll call it. And then people said, okay, what is healthy? And healthy got redefined as like eating a lot of plants and being vegan, right?
Yeah.
And you tried this too, right?
Yeah.
Going
Oh
into the
yeah.
full vegan mode.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, is that to eat healthier, not healthier, but eat, a more diverse diet, we'll call it, okay? But the challenge is the pendulum swings, right, with humans. So especially in the US. So it swung all the way to being a vegan. And really only 1% of the US is vegan, I think the last time I checked. But a lot of people perceive that as healthy.
Yeah.
And then I saw it swing the other way, which was like full carnivore, right? Which you've gone deep into as well. And I think the pendulum lands somewhere back in the middle where people are eating more parts of the animal, which is what we've done. It's more ancestral eating, which I'm a fan of like eating the organs, not just like, because there's this bastardization of the paleo diet and the carnivore diet that's happened where people say, I'm a carnivore. I'm going to eat filet mignon and I'm going to eat ground beef and I'm going to eat chicken all day long. And like I'm a carnivore now. Like, no, that's not how it works. You
Right.
got to eat their other parts too, right? and so I've seen that kind of swing happen. And it's funny, as a business, it's hard to keep pace with that because if you start chasing trends, which we got caught up in doing, which was like, oh, like people like plant-based stuff now, and now we do a plant-based, right? Versus just staying in the line with animal protein. We launched a plant-based line and it totally bombed, bro. It was
Ooh,
like just didn't hit. And it's because
interesting.
our consumers loved, clean dairy protein and they
Yeah.
love the taste of it. And the plant protein just tastes a bit grittier and like it was off brand for us. And so we killed that line. But I noticed that pendulum swing. And now I talked to our protein supplier the other day and they said whey protein is at an all-time high for demand and lowest, and the supply is only low because demand's up, right? But it's let's just say it's like 750 a pound for grass-fed whey protein versus, the last 10 years, it's been between like $3 and $4 a pound. So it
Oh
literally
wow.
like doubled
Yeah.
in the last year. And I said, that's really interesting. So what's happening now in society is that I think it's a much more macro forward where people are realizing like, I'm not getting enough protein, and what's the most efficient way from like a cost standpoint, convenience standpoint, to just like cram some protein in my day. If they're running around being a busy American, it's, powdered protein, put it in a shake or something, right?
Yeah.
Because ideally you're cooking whole foods in some form, but like that's just not the reality for a lot of people.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, the one side of that pendulum swing with veganism, you're right. Like it can definitely be very healthy for sure. Especially if let's say if you're a raw vegan, it can be very healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you going to necessarily get what I would think to be the most optimal form of sustenance? I don't think so, because you're not going to be able to naturally source, let's say, certain types of protein. You're not going to be able to source certain amino acids because they do not exist in that um, data set that you're trying to choose your foods from. They
Mm-hmm.
don't.
Right.
Some of them don't exist in the plant kingdom at all. And without supplementation, it's literally not possible to get that macronutrient profile. Now, are there people that still do it and seem to be very healthy and living long and well and strong? Yeah, I would say awesome. Don't change it. But for people that get on the high horse and are holier than thou as vegans, like I was, um, with tons of processed foods and tons of supplements and tons of just artificial enhancements to create these macronutrient profiles, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
That to me is not the way, because you're talking about all kind of exposures to heavy metals and
Mm-hmm.
microplastics and born molds and other things and histamines like we kind of talked about earlier. To whereas, yeah, I respect the hell out of the raw vegan, because that's fucking commitment.
It
That is
is.
real belief, and I think it shows, like your Lenny Kravitz's, like Lenny Kravitz
Yeah.
looks amazing. He's like fucking
Yeah.
60,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and,
Um,
and whether someone's going strict carnivore or strict raw vegan, I think it's less of a debate on what's right or wrong. But I think like having a strict regimen of sticking to certain clean foods is a winning formula, right? And we
totally.
can debate, whether or not, 'cause like I went to this longevity conference out in LA recently, and it was star-studded, man. Anybody in longevity was there, right? They had Peter Attia, Mark Hyman, Brian Johnson,
Yeah.
Stephen Gundry. Everybody was
Wow.
there.
Plant
Okay. It
paradox.
was everybody was up on stage at different times within like a
Yeah.
2 day period. Laird Hamilton, Gabby
Nice.
Reese. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. You sat with them too, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Had
Yeah.
lunch with them,
Nice.
which was great. And what I learned, because I'm like, let me zoom out. Let me not just be a total fan of one of the two of these people. Because some of this stuff, like even Brian Johnson, it's like eye roll for a lot of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can knock on any of these people. What they all said in common were two things in particular. One, get a lot of protein. Okay. You can debate whether it's plant or animal or, bioavailability, all this kind of stuff, but like just get more protein. Okay. And clean protein, not like, from corn fed cows or non organic plants or whatever it is. Okay. Point two, resistance training and VO2 max. So like taking physical fitness care of your body. So like making sure your heart is in great shape, which you do a ton of running, which is awesome. And what did you do? Did you do Ironman recently? Triathlon or
Half.
something?
Yeah.
Oh
Sprints,
man,
Olympic distance. Yeah.
insane. You're an animal. But pushing yourself to do this kind of stuff, and then also just doing resistance training, at least 5 days a week, but doing something physical for your body, at least an hour a day, and having that spread across the day if you can. So not like I work out in the morning and then check the box, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
walking around during the day, which is very common in Europe. You're more in walking cities or out in the farm walking, and I remember reading some study where they put a pedometer on like some Amish, like these people that have the Amish farms and no technology. How many steps do you think an Amish guy gets in a day?
30,000.
50.
50. 50?
50, bro. They
Amazing.
don't, they don't, I mean, they have a horse and carriage, but they don't seem to use those a ton. I mean, they're walking everywhere. They're literally walking all day long, working on a massive farm. Just okay, got to go 2 miles this way. Cool, I'll walk over there, right?
Yeah.
And so this guy just got tons of steps, man.
50,000.
It's insane. And that's not at once, right? That's across the day. He's
Yeah.
just walking everywhere. And he's
Yeah.
not like, oh, let me walk and then I'm going to go to this meeting and sit on a computer, right?
Yeah.
He's just doing out stuff outside all day.
I'm pretty sure even on days I've run marathons, I've not cracked 50.
It's pretty insane, man. I
Pretty
feel
sure.
amazing when I hit 27 the other day. I was out in LA and I did a like hike with my brother for a couple hours. Then
Nice.
we were on the west side in Santa Monica and Venice. So it was like walking to Gold's Gym and like
Yep.
walking
Yep.
around town, walking to meet up
Yep.
with some friends over here and like all this kind
Yep.
of stuff. And end of the day, 27,000 steps, 12 miles or so. I'm like, okay, I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Little
was
Rose
thinking
Avenue stroll.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's great out there.
Stop by Moon Juice and
Yeah.
say hi to everybody.
Pay $37 for some,
Oh
superfood
God,
powder
man. Yeah.
smoothie. Yeah.
Oh yeah. God.
Yeah.
I love that place though.
I know.
Man, that's crazy. 50,000. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's cool that you guys listen to Brian Johnson too. And yeah, same. Somebody asked me what I think about what he's doing. I think it's amazing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it's the way? No. Do I think, taking 100 and whatever pills a day is the way? No. But clearly it's yielding a result. So that is something that I pay homage to.
Yeah.
There's a fruitarian that I've been a big fan of for quite some time. His name is Michael Arnstein. 13 years, I believe, he's been a fruitarian. I have not been able to find anything on him though. However, since like 2022,
He's still alive?
yeah, which is kind of weird. So like I have, or 2022, or 21, I haven't been able to find anything more on him. But the guy's competed in over 100 100-mile races.
Wow.
So he's raced and ran in over 100
Just
miles.
living on fruit.
Yeah, as an ultra runner. Like, and won some. Like we're talking like Badwater 135, Leadville, freaking the one in the jungle in Hawaii. I can't remember the name of it, but like the serious races, And he went from being a 245 marathoner, which is already amazing. So, sub 3, you're pretty serious.
Mm-hmm.
But he went from 245 to like 225. So sub 230 is elite marathon running. Like you're pushing Olympic marathon rates.
Wow.
And he's done it as a fruitarian. I don't know if he's on PEDs or anything else or any type of subs. I don't know. But I do know from his own words, at least, that he says 95% of his diet is fruit.
That'd be something, huh? If he was like, oh, I'm only eating fruit and it's only organic, and then he's like juicing and he's taking PEDs.
And a little bit of tests and a little bit of TRT.
Yeah, and, just a little bit of that. And
it could be. But I don't know. I just reading about it and like seeing what his intake was, like he's like, yeah, wake up in the morning, usually have like 20 oranges. Midnight snack for me to raid the fridge would be like 12 bananas. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude, I think if I eat 4 bananas, I'll be feeling kind of sick. That's
what I mean.
Yeah.
There's so much about that was perplexing to me, but regardless,
it's also burning a ton of calories. I mean, if this guy is training every day and all this running,
and no matter what our emotions are, or our ideologies, or where our families are from, or religious convictions, like regarding foods and dietary choices, because a lot of that is emotional. It's not so much about just bare bones of objectivity, but it's our personal spins on it. Him having these accolades is what really makes my eyes look at it more intensely, because that's merit. Anything that's got a meritocracy to it, I'm kind of like, okay, this is a little bit more legitimate. Like now, for somebody that says, I've got 100-mile races under my belt, many of which that I've won.
Can't
I've got
argue
a
with
225 marathon time. Like you can't argue with that. You can't, like Brian Johnson can have all the reasons. It's cool. Right. But like when I see 100-mile races and the 225 marathon, I'm like, fuck. Like, I'm listening. I'm like, okay. Like somebody else is like, yeah, I do it for this reason. I'm like, shut up, whatever. That
I want to see what happens to his body too after that many races, right? Because I look at these guys because I think, okay, working out at Gold's last week, I thought, okay, like there's all these huge dudes in the gym, but you know what I don't see? A lot of old people. I see some old people, but not the old bodybuilders.
Like
yeah, exactly. If the old bodybuilders are in there, they're barely moving. Tons of arthritis.
Like Arnold's like the only one. probably.
moving slow. And even Arnold, I mean, granted, part of it may be, family history, but he's had, he had a pretty massive, heart surgery procedure,
Hmm.
and he's had some other health issues, but he's still, he's obviously still mobile, but he's moving a lot slower, versus some of the people that I think are more into movement work and mobility and more cardio training. And so I think that's obviously critical
Yep.
for longevity. And Peter Attia talks about this. He's like VO2 max is everything, right? Which, if you don't
Yep.
know what that is, it's like, basically, how fast, or how would you phrase it? Like how hard you can run for how long, essentially, right? Like,
Well,
is your body making the maximum use of oxygen that it can? And
yep.
can you go like at a full sprint
Your
for,
ability to sustain like a high amount, your ability
yes,
to your ability to consume oxygen at a highly,
efficient manner?
yeah,
Yeah.
your ability
Yeah.
to consume still consume oxygen at your highest output, or at your like highest cardiac output, I think
Yes.
is
Yes.
the way
That's,
to maybe
that's,
say
that's
it.
exactly it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his book's great. What is it called?
Outlive.
Outlive. Yeah, good
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw recently a guy the other day, a centenarian, 100-year-old man run like a 13.94 60-yard dash.
Come on.
100 years old. 100 years old.
Where was that?
I don't know. Somebody sent me the video. I was like, holy shit, let's go.
Oh my gosh.
But it was on a track. But yeah, 100 years old running that. But yeah, for sure, man. Like I see and look around at people, and to me, it's like, okay, what can I learn from him or her, from them?
Yeah.
And like you were so fortunate to be at that conference. Like you had to have just been like, oh my God, like I'm just scribbling notes left and right,
Oh
taking,
man, I was taking so much notes, and I posted a lot on my social media. And it's funny, all my friends were like, "Oh man, this is great! Like, keep the stories coming. This is so," because I posted like
yeah,
40 stories in one
I
day,
know.
right?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I know you're looking at stuff too, and it would, because I was just like, this is so much great knowledge. I got to share this. It was almost overwhelming to an extent, and luckily, I think I'll be able to go to this conference each year. It's an event through YPO, and one of the other things I learned was that a lot of this stuff that we're facing from a health standpoint is a factor of the environment, right? Like we talked about being in Italy versus being in the US. How come when I eat pizza and pasta here I get fat, and when I'm there I stay the same weight or even lose weight?
Mm,
Well, it's the ingredients. It's how they make it, right?
mm,
It's what they put on the crops, things like this. And people have to care enough to do that. And the other thing that I picked up on was there was a general theme of hormone optimization for both men and women, and that these hormones are wildly off balance in the US, and you've got declining fertility rates and all this kind of stuff. And people say, well, that's just what's happening. And no, man, that's not a reality everywhere. It's a reality in the US. And a lot of it's environmental factors. If you look at all the PFAS in the water, all the, microplastics and chemicals in our water, I mean, even in tap water, God forbid you drink the water in New Orleans. I mean,
oh,
I got plenty of friends that do.
I
But
grew up
dude,
on it.
number
Yeah.
one, pulling it out of the Mississippi River at the bottom of the river, bad idea. Number
Yeah.
two, like probably not great filtration. Number three, it goes through lead pipes to everyone's houses. Anybody
Yeah.
that's in old parts of town, whether you're in New Orleans or any other old city, a ton of lead pipes. No one's replacing all those pipes.
Yeah.
So, you're, and also if they're, pulling in water from humans, that's wastewater in some form or fashion, which any river water is going to be. You've got birth control in there. You've got all this kind of stuff. So what's happening in society is you've got an increase in estrogen from plastic, from not only putting plastic in your body from microplastics, but also like drinking out of plastic, and also birth control in the water, things like that. And then, decreasing testosterone, because it's not just like it'll go down naturally. It's like increasing estrogen will decrease testosterone. They
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And
balance each other
if
out.
that,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's these crazy stats. I'm sure you've seen them, that it's like, the testosterone of a 20-year-old guy now is what a 90-year-old was like 20 years ago.
Yeah. What the
Like
fuck?
crazy, man.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember you and I talking about water purity a couple years ago. And I was like, yeah, I've been drinking the fucking New Orleans tap water all my life. And you're like, yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't. It's a game changer though. Like my water bottles now, my stainless bottles that I, drink my purified water through. And look, Brita, you can say what you want about Brita,
Hmm.
Paul Saladino. Like we don't all have the fucking reverse osmosis
I
machine.
know.
Like
Right. I know. It
it's
must be nice.
like and shitting on Brita. Like, hey man, like use a Brita filter, people.
You
Like
use something.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can do it. It's not
Yeah.
gonna like you don't need a fucking reverse osmosis water machine. Would that be great for all of us if we had one?
Yeah.
Sure, but like you can go to Target and spend $20 and get the, and yes, I said Target, not Target, because it's fancy.
It's fancy,
Um,
baby.
but it matters, man. Like I used to clean my water bottle religiously because I'd always be like, God, look at all the buildup in there. And like
Mhm.
now when I clean it, I just rinse it out because it's like spotless from the
Yeah.
filter. But it
Well,
matters, like soil health. You know,
mhm.
the soil that the crops are being grown on, or the grass is being grown on that these animals are eating, that's not being constantly pastured, that's not being, able to be regenerative, to where it's
Mhm.
not, fostering new cells and new phytonutrients that can be absorbed by these animals that we eat, and in turn absorb them as well. So it's like this perpetual like shit cycle of
Yeah.
they eat bad things, they stay poisoned, we eat them, we continue, the same thing. Um,
No, it's true, man. I mean, this is a whole thing, and there's actually one of my somebody asked me what my most useful thing that I bought in the last year was, and again, no affiliation with this company, but there's a company called Life Straw, and you
oh
may have seen it
yeah,
where
yeah,
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 where you
yeah,
can drink the water out of a ditch with a little filter. Okay, cool. I'm
yeah.
not drinking out of ditches, so I don't really need it, but it's just cool to have. So yes, I bought that, and yes, I have it in a backpack for hiking. I've never used it or come close to using it, but it's there.
You got to
But
test it, man.
I know, but they came out with a water bottle that's metal, not plastic, and they've got a filter on the inside that's the same filter. So
Yep.
basically, like I can put tap water in my water bottle wherever I'm at, and then I can filter out things like microplastics, chemicals like lead, all this stuff. So that one was useful, but like for people out there, like there's lots of solutions. You just have to find them. You
Yep.
know.
I actually bought one of those bottles when, after you and I were talking about it a couple of years ago. I got the Life Straw Camelback
Oh,
stainless.
nice.
Yeah, like they had a collab with Camelback. I was like, sick. Okay, cool. Um, so what, you've been testing a lot of products lately.
Mhm.
Skincare things, topical, uh, seen some stuff with blood work. I've
Yeah.
seen some peptides, some
Mhm.
introductions of different little bits here and there, some pricks, some needles, like
All the stuff.
yeah, man, take us through that gamut. What have you found in there? What was the reasoning? I mean, none of the reasons are always exploration, experimentation, but like, what have you found?
Yeah, what I've found is there's a few things. I'll give you my top three things that I've found that I if somebody asked me what should I try, like I would endorse these as in terms of they provided a lot of value for me. Number one is finding a legitimate like functional medicine doctor that's on like very knowledgeable in peptides,
Yeah.
because peptides are the enemy of big pharma. Okay. Big pharma is trying to make all peptides illegal. And what a peptide is, it's a natural occurring protein in the body. Okay. There's thousands of them. And so, what a peptide, like a compounding pharmacy, will do, which is not like a CVS or Walgreens, this is just like a true pharmacy where they're like compounding means they're like making actual medicines and,
Yeah.
tinctures and whatever. And so, you can, these pharmacies are all around the US and they're big suppliers of these peptides. And essentially what they do is find ways to get these proteins and turn them into like a little powder. You add some water in there and then you inject them with like a insulin needle, which is a very tiny subcutaneous needle. And anyway, I was really had exhausted all methods of curing this torn labrum I had. And if anybody's ever had like a torn ligament, like what's the answer? Surgery, right? You just got to
Mm,
get surgery.
mm,
And that's what most of the doctors told me. So okay, let me try that. I tried the stem cells in the form of young plasma in my shoulder. Like I mentioned, that didn't do anything. But when I tried this peptide called BPC 157, and look, not all peptides are created equal in terms of where they come from. If you're just going to go buy this stuff on the internet, not the same, dude. Not the same. Buyer beware. Okay. This needs to be coming from a credible doctor and a very credible pharmacy when used under doctor supervision. So, anyway, I had that and did 90 days of injections, and I'm lifting more weight than when I was 20 years old, and I'm
oof,
41.
oof.
So, like, that totally resolved my shoulder issue. So that was one big thing that I learned. Number two was I started using a continuous glucose monitor,
Yeah.
and what I'm testing is like the order that I eat my food, and also like timing and how I eat it and what I eat and all this kind of stuff. And understandably, like you wear this monitor, you eat ice cream, it spikes, duh,
Yeah.
right? But playing around with ordering and how I cook food. So for instance, like if I like rice, we're from Louisiana, we love rice, right? So, but like, I'm like, oh, it's just a bunch of carbs and like not really any nutrients. But if you basically cook it, rapidly cool it, and then heat it up after that and eat it, then it's a much, much lower glucose spike.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So I'm learning different ways to cook the foods to like, because the other big thing I learned at the longevity conference was like sugar and glucose spikes are death. That will be a premature death of you, and it links to every disease out there. So you want to minimize glucose spikes and minimize processed and added sugars. So that's been a good learning. And it's just like, actually I have one on right now. It's just
Oh,
like a
nice.
little
Yeah.
monitor you
Yeah.
stick on, and so I won't do it forever, but it's cool to try out for a few weeks to
Yeah. I
see how your
did
body
too.
reacts. Yeah. And then the third one is some biohacking I've done on my own, because I've tried the extreme of taking every supplement imaginable just to see what happens and test my blood work and all this kind of stuff. But what I've found is that I've been able to increase my testosterone, one, through lifestyle, right? Which is, things like working out and getting good sleep, minimizing plastic usage, things like this. But that only goes so far. So adding in natural herbal ingredients, of which there's like 20 different things, basic stuff like zinc, boron, there's hot topic ones like Fedosia agressus and Tangat Ali and all this kind of stuff. But I've tried all these things, and I was able to actually increase my testosterone from like 400 to 1,000.
Nice.
And I said, okay, interesting. but who wants to take 20 pills? So the last one, I mean, it's a lot, right? You
Yeah.
and I will if we need
Brian
to.
Johnson doesn't mind.
Oh my God, he'll take 100, right?
Yeah.
But it's okay for the everyday person. I should make this easier. So I'm actually I'm going to test this as like a product concept, and launch it in a couple of months here. And basically it's going to be like a supplement that's like takes all these 20 herbal, like organic, clinically proven natural ingredients that will increase testosterone, reduce estrogen. Okay. But I'm taking normally what would be 20 pills, condensing it into 6 that you take once a day. And it's just going to be like a daily. Right. And then what I'm going to pair it with is a test. So at the beginning, you're going to get a testosterone test shipped to your house. And then you're going to get that in 6 months again to show you that it works.
Nice.
Right. Because for me, it's like, I don't like to take stuff on belief and hopefully it works. And then what we'll do is actually pair that with education on like what you can do from a lifestyle standpoint and a dietary standpoint to increase testosterone. Because it's not just about taking a pill. It's about other things. So the idea is it's a platform to help solve problems. And we'll start with hormone optimization for men and women. And then we'll move into like, balancing out cholesterol, right? And there's some good cholesterol, but a lot of people have the bad, what we'll say is like too high cholesterol in a bad way.
Yeah.
So balancing that out, maybe addressing things like, hair loss and stuff like this down the road. But again, a lot of it's like, just stop putting all this crap on your head, that's like toxic things that are in hair products or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's funny. So that's what you were fielding names for the other day when you were like, hey,
yes. I've been testing a lot of stuff on social. If anybody wants to see what's going on, check it out on at Iconic Life on Instagram, because I'm posting this stuff live as I go. Of like testing names, testing designs. I like getting feedback from people and like sharing the journey of creating a new product.
It's funny you mentioned about the water in New Orleans too. I have not. It's now coming up on 18 months that I've not used any shampoo, conditioner, or just any type of hair care product like whatsoever. And just water, just fresh water.
Yeah.
And when I was in New Orleans, I came out of the shower and I remember thinking, I was like, God, my hair feels terrible right now. What the fuck? Like I was like, this is terrible. My hair feels terrible. And it was there's a big difference in the water from the Texas spring water here that we have, or the Guadalupe River water. That's basically the water that we shower with here in the hill country, compared to that New Orleans water. I was like, damn, this is a big difference, for sure.
Oh yeah.
You sent me over a spreadsheet recently.
Yes.
With some cool things, a list of things. You want to talk about that and like tell people why?
Well, yeah. So this just started out as me just being a huge nerd. And essentially, coming out of this longevity conference, all these doctors say, hey, listen, like, longevity experts, more protein, more protein, more protein. How much protein? Okay, let's keep it simple. 1 gram per pound of body weight, right?
Yeah.
Could be more, could be less, but like that's a great thing for people to just like wrap their head around. And you could just see jaws drop everywhere. And one woman raises her hand. She's, how in the hell am I supposed to eat this much protein? Like I can try to lose weight, but I still like I'm still under protein for the day. And so I get this from all my friends. And so I built this big Google sheet that I live edit weekly that has like every category of food, plant, meat, all this kind of stuff, even snacks and junk food. But generally the theme is everything's gluten free. There's no seed oils. It's all high protein foods. And I rank everything by protein per calorie. So you see like where you get the best protein per calorie ratio, and also code anything that's like super high on fat or super high on carbs, and also do price per protein and kind of rank them per category. And there's some surprising things. Like, what would you think would be your best, bang for your buck on protein for animal protein?
Liquid egg whites.
Close. It was, I think they were second, and first was chicken liver.
Damn it. What is the worst thing in sports? Fucking silver at the Olympics. Damn it. I've said so for years. People have asked like, "Hey, what's the best thing? What's the easiest way to get lean, clean?
Yeah,
get a quart of chicken whites.
Yeah,
chicken whites.
Chicken whites.
A quart.
We're still in the same animal category.
A quart of egg whites. 50 G's.
Yeah.
Right here, a quart, guys.
Yeah.
You need it. You're craving. You're
and they're pasteurized, so you can just drink them. You don't have to cook them.
Cage fucking free range. Like some organic if you get them. I mean, certain places, but 50 grams right there. So like you gotta. Well, what do I put that in? Put it in your fucking morning coffee.
Yeah.
Make a smoothie with it. Like one of my favorite animal-based smoothies is 50 grams of egg whites, a banana, an avocado, some cinnamon, jab of honey. Done. People are like, avocado, really? Yeah, avocado is a great whipping consistency. Yeah, that with the banana, it's fantastic.
You know who's got a good one is I would say best deal on that. And here's the thing, the caveat to the spreadsheet is, and this is actually helpful in thinking, is any of this stuff, if you find it on deal or on sale, automatically it's better bang for your buck, right? So I'm just ranking it based on retail price. And I'm not going to like shop 10 different stores. I'm just throwing stuff that's easy to order on Whole Foods via Amazon or, another popular chain or something like this. But it's directionally accurate, right? But Target has one that's like, it's a big carton. It's like, whatever 2 quarts would be. And it's like $6 for cage-free egg whites. And we know that free range are greater than and better than cage-free, but cage-free is still better than like non-cage-free. So anyway, for the average consumer, $6 for this huge container of egg whites is an insane deal. So that's one of my go-tos, as well as like egg whites are a big part of the eating routine.
$6. I mean, it's 150 grams in that thing, because it's probably it's probably 2 quarts or 2.5 quarts. So maybe it's 125.
Yeah.
6. Yeah, it's a pretty good price per gram for sure.
One thing about this too, like with eggs, and for me, I realized, I really started tracking my macros about 4 months ago, and I've never been a macro tracking guy, but it's become kind of a fun game for me. I use this app called Chronometer, and I think I use the paid version, but it's not too expensive, and I like the functionality because you can scan stuff and all.
It's cheaper than a bar tab, folks.
It's way cheaper than a bar tab. And anyway, you can repeat foods and all this kind of stuff, and so I'll go in there and track it. What I realized on a normal week before I started tracking all this stuff is I was super high on fat and low on protein. I'm thinking, dude, I'm the protein guy at a protein company. Of course I'm high on protein. No way, man. I was getting maybe 100 grams of protein a day. And for a guy that's 185 pounds, that's way too little. And then I was getting way more fat, probably like 150 grams of fat, because I'm in between calls.
Your fucking eggs and avocados and sausage.
You see all this stuff, right? Like, I'm crushing avocados, and then I have like every nut.
Looks good. Yeah,
it is
all
good.
The nuts you have. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I've got like cabinets of nuts, right? So every nut known to man, I've got raw, unsalted, all the good stuff. But like 1/4 of a cup of nuts is like 200 calories and tons of fat.
Yeah,
and I'm eating like 4 or 5 eggs in a day. And like eggs are 1-to-1 basically on fat to protein. So,
and by 1-to-1, folks, that's grams of protein, grams of fat, not calories. Fat would be your dominant calorie in those 1-to-1s because of 4 grams. 4 calories per
Exactly.
gram of protein, 9 calories per gram per eggs. But keep
Exactly.
going.
So I was getting tons of fat, tons of carbs, and just not enough protein. So when I inverted that and I said, let me reverse this and get closer to 200 grams of protein a day, automatically I'm becoming, fuller longer. And
Yeah,
then I'm naturally reducing the carbs and fats because you're getting so full on all this protein. It's hard to like then consume these, carbs and fats and whatever else. So automatically through that process in the last few months, I shaved off about 15 pounds. I didn't think I had 15 pounds to lose, but I've actually
yeah.
like picked up some muscle too.
Hell yeah,
Yeah,
hell yeah.
yeah.
That's some
So it's been
thermogenesis
fun.
at work, man.
Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I see you, man. Looking fucking jacked and enjoying anatomy, the
You
new
too, man. I
anatomy.
mean, I don't know if I'm gonna do the watermelon fast, but
it it's better in the summertime. It would have been better in the summertime. Not I
I
did it
believe it.
too early in the season. Stupid.
You know who has
Um,
the best melons too is Louisiana. That Washington Parish has those really good melons. You get those imported. Just get like a pallet of those at your house.
and be like, hey guys, I need to become your best customer ever.
I know.
Well, dude, what's on the immediate horizon then before we get you out of here?
Yeah,
What's
man.
next?
Just
What's on the mission? We talked about some things, wanting to collab on stuff. What's your
yeah,
mission taking you
totally.
to?
The big thing is I'm just trying to create products that provide value for people. So I've got a few different ideas for different products that I'm working on, and so I'm just kind of posting market research out there regularly on social media. So check it out on Instagram, Iconic Life, and just Billy Bosch on Facebook, and hit me up with any questions you have, and feel free to take part in the polls I'm putting up and things like this. So I'm thinking the next company is going to be something in the realm of like supplements paired with testing, paired with education on what lifestyle changes you can make. So that we kind of like wrap that holistically into something that's like actually going to make a change in people's life for the positive. And, so I don't know what that turns into, but that's looking like the next thing and, just exploring what's next from there.
Pretty awesome. Iconic Life, Billy Bosch.
I think that's
Dude,
going to be the
thanks.
brand name. I tested a bunch of brand names and like Iconic Life is the winner. I was like, cool, I'll just be like
I'm
Iconic
pretty sure that's
Life.
one I voted for.
There we
I
go.
think.
There we go. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
toyed around with some kind of crazy names for the testosterone booster. Like Alpha T and
Oh
like
yeah,
T
yeah,
Prime.
yeah.
And I did some write-in names, and dude, I had the best write-in names. Yeah.
Adonis Surge.
I know, right? It was like, Daddy's tea or something like this,
Ooh. Okay, yeah, a little abstract. I like it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different stuff out there, but yeah, we'll
Nice.
see. I think I'm gonna land like I see this brand as more like elevated. It's more like the cool vintage car or Tesla driver versus like the monster truck driver.
Yeah.
So I don't want this to look like some sketchy supplement you get out of a gas station because it's gonna be like total premium ingredients, not a bunch of garbage.
This is Extends 2.0. I see it coming already.
I know, right? Explosions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Minotaur.
All right, dude. Well, man, it's
Yeah.
so good to see you again. Thank you for the time today. And for everybody else, remember Iconic Life on Instagram. Check out Billy. Check out his posts. Check out his polls. Actively participate because you will be actively participating in the rollout for Billy's upcoming ventures. And like you said, the next company, the next startup, the next product line, whatever. You'll have an active hand in either the namesake, what the product's going to consist of. So you'll feel more, I think, as a contributing customer to something that you maybe had a hand in, as opposed to just something that was created. It's fucking awesome, man. That's so cool. So it's good to
Love
see
it,
you, man.
man.
Thanks again.
Thanks for having
And
me.
to everybody else, I'm your host, Jake Thomas, for another episode of Sick, Scared, and Stupid. We'll see you next time.